G'day, welcome to another Napoleonic battle report. This time I've busted out the big table, bolted it all together. When I do a refight of Castalla, Chusse's fight against Murray. This was a sort of limited engagement. Chusse fought a strong rear guard action when he came through the pass against Adams' brigade and took quite a few casualties. He wasn't keen to engage here. He spent an evening reconnoitering the Allied line and didn't really like what he saw. You can see on the battlefield the castle of Castalla. On the British right, that was here just off the table. This flank was covered by swampy ground, so the French cavalry went round and investigated that and figured out they couldn't get round there. The British are deployed on a long ridge line. You can see there, it juts out a bit in the middle of the table. And his other flank was secured by vineyards. I've got only one vineyard, so I've got a few olive groves in there to show that. So after consulting his generals, who thought that the Sicilian, British, Spanish brigades would melt if they attacked, troops would melt away if they attacked, he decided to launch an attack. It didn't go well, and he called it off pretty quickly, and they bugged out back through the defile. In today's game, I'm going to use divisional rules. I've broken some of the French brigade divisions up into brigades. Down here, we'll start down here on this, where the main attack was by Robert. His division had 8 battalions, so I split that into 2 brigades of 4 each. So there was the 2 battalions of the first line, 2 battalions of the third line, and third light, and 2 battalions of the 114th line, and 2 battalions of the 121st line. More to the centre, we have Harrison's division. This was kept back on the road as a reserve by Chusse because he wasn't really that keen to commit to this battle, and he wanted a strong reserve to cover his retreat. That contains 2 battalions of the 7th, 2 battalions on the 44th, and 2 battalions of the 116th line. Now, I've split this into 2 brigades of 3 battalions each. You can see there that I've put a divisional commander there. That's really just for show. I'm just going to play it as a divisional game. Treat Chusse as a divisional commander and not bother about corps size game. It's going to be about 6 brigades in there. Going down the French line, we have Herbert's division. This only had 4 battalions in it, 2 battalions of the 14th, 1 battalion of the 16th, and 1 battalion of the 117th line. I've kept this as a single division, but it's basically going to function game-wise as a brigade in the rules. So that's the French force covered. They've got 2 sets of guns. All up, they had 24 guns, I think, on the day, and the British had about 32 or more. So I've given the British 3 batteries and the French just 2, but I've made one French battery a large battery to represent that they concentrated their guns into the centre of the table, really, just to keep the British occupied where they were going to attack. All the French line are standard battalions. Let's cross over to the British side now and have a look at what they've got. Again, they're deploying more or less historically. Roche's Spanish division was off to the right-hand side of the town. I'm not including that in the battle today. They were over there with the bulk of the cavalry, waving at the French cavalry across the marsh. So not much action goes on with those. I've got the British cavalry and the French cavalry sitting off table, and I might bring them on, but it's predominantly going to be an infantry fight today. So in the town we have Clinton's division. That's 5 battalions strong. The 10th, the 58th, and the 81st of the British battalions. They're all standard line and they drilled. Then there's the D rolls and the 2nd Italian levy. I haven't got those battalions. I'm just using Portuguese stand-ins. I'm going to class those as reservists. You can see them in the back there and the town. Moving out of the town, you can see the 81st, the last British battalion belonging to Clinton, and then we move to Mackenzie's division. That's 5 battalions strong. We have the 27th British Line, the 4th and the 6th KGL, and 2 Sicilian battalions. The Sicilians I'm going to class as reservists. The KGL and British are regular drilled. Moving past them, we come into Adams Brigade, and that has the 2nd 27th, has the 1st Battalion, and it has the Calabarians Battalion. I'm guessing that's what it is. So just 3 battalions strong. The British again will be standard drilled, and the other 2 battalion and the Calabarians will be reservists. The last in the line is Whittingham's Spanish Division, 6 battalions strong. They're all going to be classed as standard battalions because at this stage of the war they were drilled and pretty efficient and did quite well in this battle. So they'll just be standard battalions. Historians weren't that kind to Murray. They said he struggled with independent command, and when you look at it in this campaign, he did dither about a bit. So I've made him a commissar, so he gets only 1 divisional order. Chouchet is just going to be classed as the next grade up, campaigner I think it is, so he is going to get 2, but he's also going to get the adjutant reroll because he's facing a lower grade commander. So I've got the table fully laid out. I'm ready to go. Let's look at a couple of plans. French plan will basically be to send Habit's Brigade here forward. Basically, I don't think he's going to try too hard to take the town. I think he's just going to skirmish about and put a bit of pressure on there, more historically wise, to keep Clinton occupied and to justify Roche staying off the table with the Spanish division. In the centre, unhistorically, I've brought Harrison's division of 6 battalions forward. They're going to launch a strong assault supported by 2 batteries in the centre. This is where Habit's Brigade historically went in, but I'm going to beef it up a bit and launch a strong assault here. Of course, they will be facing some determined British defences with some strong guns situated up there. We'll see how it goes. I've just been watching tactical tips from Chiquilita TV on artillery, so I'm going to try a few things out there. Moving more into the French right, we've got Roberts Brigade down here, split into 2 divisions, split into 2 brigades. I think I'm going to follow the historical lead there. I'm probably going to deploy a lot more skirmishers out and go forward and skirmish them and jeebers out of the Spanish and see. The last battle I had a nasty experience with getting into volleys with those guys, so I think I'm going to try and bulk up my skirmish lines and go in there and attack with a strong skirmish line. For the British part, they're just going to hold. They've got the ridge line. Hold and shoot. That's their plan, basically. It worked for me last time. It's going to work again. I've kept a few battalions in reserve down the end there. As I say, the cavalry's off the table. Not really ideal cavalry ground, this. And it didn't take part in the battle, but I may bring it on. Victory conditions, I think I'll keep it the same as the Albemarle game. Break 2 British formations and you win the game. Right, let's crack into the battle. Top of turn 1, French got 3 ADCs, the British got 2. The French put all 3 of these down on Roberts' 2 brigades. Their 2nd brigade, which is closest to us now, got a re-roll and skirmisher tasking, which allowed them to break one of their light battalions out into skirmish order, so he's now got 2 skirmish lines there. The last ADC went on their 1st brigade and gave them skirmisher tasking. all their brigades on the French side passed their activation checks, so they got no hesitant brigades. On the Anglo side of the table, Murray's army, the Spanish got 180C for skirmisher tasking, but unfortunately they failed their test and became hesitant, so that was wasted. The second ADC they had went on the skirmish line in Mackenzie's brigade, so they've got skirmisher tasking. You can see down here as we pan down the battlefield, and unfortunately Clinton in the town didn't really understand his orders. So they had 2 hesitant brigades, which means they rolled a couple of extra dice and the French easily won the initiative. The British line largely stayed still, and as you can see, the French are all racing forward. My plan is to play the French guns quite aggressively and try and get them in close range before I unlimber them. Unfortunately, they're facing some British artillery, so I'm going to weigh it up, see how many casualties they take before I unlimber, because that could be a dangerous plan, really. Let's move into some skirmish fire. Right, French kick off. Skirmish fire here. They've got 4 stands in a brigade, so they're going to get 1 on the British, and the British are going to turn fire with the same 5 dice. And they're also going to get 1, so 1 apiece. Right, French here facing Mackenzie's brigade. They're going to get squat. Mackenzie's going to return fire with quite a few because he's got skirmisher tasking. So 5 plus 2. And he needs to roll 1 more there. So he's going to do 2 hits on the French there. Over to Robert's 1st Brigade, and he's going to get 8 dice because he's got skirmisher tasking. And he's going to get 2 and a morale check for the British. So they're going to do a morale check. 8, they love it. And the British are going to turn fire with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 dice. And I don't know if you can see that. Bloody 5 6s, busting out the big moves at the start. That's going to be 2 apiece. Nicely done. 27th. Last fight is over here on the French right, facing the Spanish. And the French are going to get 6 dice. And that'll just be 1. And the Spanish will return fire. They'll get 2, and that'll bring us to the close of turn 1. Top of turn 2, French got 3 ADCs, British got full house, they got 5. The British player gave all his ADCs to Mackenzie. He gave him a reroll and put both of Mackenzie's artillery batteries on assault fire. So that's all of those ones taken up. The British, I think Adam in the centre on the hill there went hesitant, and Clinton in the town still has no idea what's going on. He's having breakfast or something. No idea. The French passed all their brigade checks. They gave 3 re-rolls, 2 to the brigades in Harrison's division. They just really wanted to make sure that those guns come forward. Incidentally, I forgot to do British artillery fire, so just before I moved, I whacked those out, and the British managed to put a casualty on these guns, and they managed to put a casualty on that French column coming forward. As you can see over on the French right, the columns are making their way through the scrub, and they've pushed all 3 skirmish lines up now, so they're going to try and drive in the Allied skirmish line as quickly as they can and come forward and smash the Spanish. Right, down the line, we'll whip into some skirmish fire, and then I feel the French are going to take some assault fire pain on their batteries, and it might be time for them to deploy and return fire. Right, let's get into some skirmish fire. 5 dice for the French, and they get squat. 5 dice for the British in return, and they'll get squat. So largely ineffective here. Let's move into the centre. 5 dice again for the French, and they'll get 1 on the British, and the British will return fire with 6, and that'll be a stand gone for the French. On the hill, the French have got 6 dice there. That'll be 2. That'll be a standoff for the British. And they're going to return fire with 5. And they're also going to take a standoff the French. So like for like. Right, the Spanish unfortunately are facing a couple of French skirmish lines. We'll do this one first. They have 6 dice. And they'll just get 1. And then the other light battalion here in skirmish order will get 5 dice. And those also get 1. So that'll remove a base off the Spanish. And the Spanish will return fire. They're down to 5 dice. But they'll get 2, and that'll take a stand off the French. So quite a bloody round of skirmish fire there. Over to artillery fire. It's only the British that have got some. Adams' brigade is hesitant, but unfortunately that French column over there has strayed straight into effective range, so they're going to get a bit of slappoo. 9 at effective range will be 2 in a DT, and they're also in column, so the British are going to get a canister casualty dice, and that'll give them 3 in a discipline test. 8, I think that's a pass, but they're up to 4 casualties now, so not good. Okay, across to the Spanish guns. These guys are going to be counter battery. They're not quite an effective. Oh, they just are an effective range. Lucky Wellington's not here. He doesn't like counter battery, but they're going to do it. 5 at effective range is 1, and they get 1 for their counter battery. So they're going to put 2 on the French, and then the British guns are going to do the same on the French big battery. And they're going to roll 11. And I think they're in effective range now as well. Yes, indeed. So 11 is 3 in a DT, and they've got 1 for their canister. So the French are going to take 4 more casualties on their guns. So playing the guns aggressively might not be so good. So that takes them up to 5 casualties already. And their discipline test is going to be 10. They passed. So that was a high casualty round for the French. There's no combats, so we'll move into turn 3. Top of turn 3, French. It was a draw for the initiative, so the French held it because they had it last time. Down here, Robert's 2nd Brigade has gone hesitant, but that's okay. They're just going to carry on skirmishing with the Spanish. His 1st Brigade is pushed up. They've been given skirmisher tasking, so they're going to get stuck into the British on the hill. I think this is the strongest possibility of French success here, maybe. In the centre, the French battalion that was taking a bashing from the guns is deployed out in line, try and dodge one casualty dice. The skirmish line is pushed forward with skirmisher tasking, and they're going to try and put the heat on the guns before they fire. The French have also decided, now that they're in effective range, to deploy all their guns here. Harrisbury's pushed his 1st Brigade forward, but man, I don't think it's going to go very far. It's facing 2 guns and some strong British battalions and a strong skirmish line. So they've managed to move 1 battalion up and push the British skirmish line back. And over here, I'm starting to see the folly of my deployment. Hibbert is also seeing that. He, in retrospect, he maybe should have gone in the centre because he's 4 battalions strong, and I should have just dedicated one of Harrison's 3 battalion brigades to mask the city. But there you go. Hindsight's a beautiful thing. The British here, Clinton, for the first time in the game, is not hesitant, and he's now cleared his head and he's decided to pull his skirmishers back closer to the city walls to entice the French forward so the garrisons can start shooting at him as well. Something that's working out there. Scanning across to the British line, Mackenzie, all 3 ADCs for the British went to Mackenzie for a re-roll and to put one of his guns on assault fire, so they're going to try and bash that large French gun battery before it starts shooting once more. In the centre, Adam, and down this side of the line, Adam and both Whittingham both went hesitant, so not much action there from those guys. Let's rock into the shooting phase. There's no charges. Let's see how we get on there. French are first up with 5 dice. They're going to get just 1, but need 1 more to get a base off. The garrison's just out of range, but the British are going to get 5 dice back on their skirmish line. But they're not going to do anything this time. In the centre, the French skirmish line's reduced down to 3 stands, so they're just going to get 4 dice. They get nothing, and the British are already going to turn fire with 6. And they're also going to get nothing. Moving over to Harrisbury's 2nd Brigade, they've got skirmisher tasking and they're in front of the guns and they really want to shoot them to bits. So they're going to get 4 for the stands, 1 for the brigader and 2 for skirmisher tasking. Come on, boys. And they've rolled 2 casualties and a discipline check for the guns. Oh, he said. So that's informed the guns. That's good news for the French. Moving over to the big push up the hill. So the French have got skirmisher tasking, so they're going to get 7 dice all up. I don't know where I'm going to roll this where you can see it. Jeepers. So they're just going to get the 1. Useless. Takes the British up to 2. British are going to get 5 in return fire. And they're going to get one back at the French. Right, Robert's 2nd Brigade's got 2 skirmish lines. We'll do the first line first. That's going to get 5 dice. And they're going to get 2 hits on the Spanish. And then their 2nd skirmish line also is going to get 5 dice. And they're going to get another hit, which is going to take a base off. So the Spanish skirmish line is shrinking fast. Can't deal with that weight of fire. They're going to return fire with 4 dice. They're also going to do a casualty. Good on them. Takes the French up to 2. All right, over to artillery fire. Okay, the French guns are deployed. They're going to belt one out. They're trying to go for the British guns on the hill there. They're going to add 1 casualty dice for being a large battery. They're on 5 casualties, so they're not quite worn yet. So a 7 is going to be 1, and they get 1 for the casualty dice. So there you go. They've managed to crack out a bit of pain on the British guns. Right, the other French guns, what to do here? What to do, because do they do counter battery fire, or do they concentrate on that line that's right in front of them? I think they're going to go for the line. I think they're going to do nothing at all. I think before they got overexcited and fired too early, and one of their guys was standing in front of the guns and he got killed. Bad juju. The Spanish guns on the hill are going to shoot back. I think they're going to switch targets now. Wow, that's a tough one. I've been watching that, check your leader. He said, don't switch your targets around. And I'm switching my targets around. But that column is coming up fast. No, I'm going to stay with the guns. Stay with the guns. Counter battery, 8. That's a good roll. Good decision. It's going to be 1 more on the guns, taking them to 4. The other British guns you can just see there. They might shoot at this French battery just in the corner of the screen there one more time because, well, that's a toughie. If they hit them one more time, then they'll make them warn. But that column is getting awfully close now. Damn it, they'll try and wear the guns down. Ha! They did wear the guns down. Just not the right guns. And they've gone low ammo. All that assault firing. Oh, and they're on assault fire as well. Whoopsie. Got to roll a couple more dice. So I missed there on assault fire, so they get to roll 2 more dice. So they do 2 casualties, but because they're on assault fire, they're already on 2. They're going to go to 4 because they take double casualties, and they're going to go low ammo. So they're on 4 casualties now, and they've got low ammo. But they did push the French guns onto 7 casualties, so they're now worn. My casualty markers work. If there's 2 guys on the base, that means 6 plus 1 is 7. If there's 1 guy on the base, then it's just a dice number. So that battery is now officially worn. That's all the artillery fire. That's the end of the turn. Let's move on to turn 4. We'll start at the top and go down the line here. You can see the Spanish brigade is hesitant. They pull back their skirmishers and put them between their battalions. It's down to 3 stands, so that will probably come off. They'll probably call it in the next turn because they don't want to lose it. The French have taken the opportunity to push forward. It's Robert's 2nd Brigade, so they're streaming forward with both their skirmish lines. They're stopped short of musket range, so they're going to start pouring some skirmish fire into those lines without getting replied to. As I say, here in the centre, the French came forward and charged and saw off the British skirmishers, and their columns are streaming up the hill now. Over towards the centre, the British reformed their guns on the hill. The French have given their guys a re-roll and skirmisher tasking again, and they've pushed their columns forward. The British battalions come slightly forward because they were going to give those skirmishers a volley and try and see them off. Over here, couldn't help myself. I've gone back to my old routine of forming line with the French. They're formed out into line, and they're going to give the skirmishers hopefully a lot of pain and chase them off. The skirmish line retreated in front of the guns to cover them while they're resupplying. They've got a caisson out there. He's going to try and remove 2 casualties, which they do because the guns are, because the brigade passed its activation check. Habert has decided to move up most of his brigade this side of the town and come and try and join the party. Over on the British side of the proceedings, on the British side of the field, they've also deployed a caisson to try and get rid of their low ammo. And in the town, Clinton's decided that he might make a push on this side of the field, so he started moving his Italian levy round, and he might come out and try and threaten the French. He's got to be a bit careful here because the French cavalry is just hoovering off the board there. Right, British have the initiative, so they're going to fire these skirmishers here first. They've got 6 dice. They're going to crack into the French lines, but they've got to put their first casualty on the skirmish line here because it's ranging in range in an arc, and they only get one hit, so one goes on there. French are going to return skirmisher fire, but they're only going to get 3 shots. Oh, they did it. They did enough. They did enough. It's another hit on those guys. Swinging over to the centre, French skirmishers there. They've got tasking, so they're going to get 7 dice, I think, 4 stands, Brigadier and tasking. And they're going to go for the guns again. And I'll roll them off screen as usual. But you can see there they've got 2 hits and a discipline check again. And the British are going to roll their discipline check. Oh, they've rolled a 2, and lucky that's on a model. No, not so lucky. Oh dear. So they're going to go to 4 casualties now, and a 4 on the discipline chart. So that's going to put them back on 4 and back unformed again, just as they got reorganised. Those skirmishers are really hurting them. Down here, these skirmishers have moved up. They've also got skirmisher tasking. They've got 5 dice plus 2, and they're going to crack into that forward British line there. And again, they're just going to get the 1. So 1 casualty there. Moving down here, they've got 2 skirmisher lines again. They're going to shoot at the Spanish lines, but they have to put their first casualty of each unit on the skirmishers there. So these guys on the left first, 5 dice. Yep, they're going to do 1. And the other guys, 5 dice again. And they're also going to do 1. So I'll just put those casualties out. Right, over to artillery. The British guns there, they've got a bit of a dilemma because they really need to get rid of these skirmishers. But now they're unformed, so they're going to give canister to the skirmishers, but unformed and shooting at canisters gives them a weak volley, so they're only going to get 3 CDs, 2 for canister and 1 for a weak volley. But that's pretty good. That'll take a whole base off. Boom. This is what canister to the face will do, dear. We might do that British line while we've got the camera here. So they're going to give a volley to the skirmishers as well. And they're going to roll 9. They're firing at skirmishers, so it's an inferior volley, but that's still a DT because they're drilled 2 on a DT, and they also get a casualty dice because they are drilled. So that'll be 3. That'll take another base off. When a skirmish unit's reduced down to 2 sound, it's driven off and it falters as a brigade. So that was disastrous for the French. They took 6 casualties there on their skirmish line and it disappeared. French artillery in the foregrounds to shoot. They're going to crack into that line in front of them because there's a couple of columns coming up now, or they were until the brigade went faltering, so they're going to try that. And they're going to roll a 7, which I think is just 1 casualty. And in actual fact, the Spanish guns on the hill should have shot first, so they're going to shoot at the. They're going to shoot one more time at the guns, see if they can't mess them up beforehand. That's also 1, so it only takes them to 5, so they're not quite worn yet. The other 2 French and British guns won't be firing this time because the French used a caisson to reduce their casualties and the British used the caisson to resupply their ammo. So these French guns are back down to 5 casualties, which isn't so crash hot for them. Right, top of turn 5. I'll go. I can't remember what ADCs were. The French had quite a few hesitant brigades. We'll work that as we go along. Even though they rolled a lot more dice than the British, they rolled nothing under a 4, so they actually stole the initiative. Let's just start down here in Clinton on the British right. He's moved into the citadel so he can try and get his command range of everyone, because he's moved, I think it's the 81st forward, to face off against Hatbert's brigade that's coming up fast. So he's going to give them a volley. The British just moved up their reserve lines to reinforce their line here. They've given Mackenzie a reroll in brigade skirmishing, and he's passed, so the brigade skirmish line's going to belt out a few bit of pain. They also smartly moved back out of musket range, so the French lines are just going to cop it, and they're not going to get to give it back. In the centre, Adam got quite aggressive, and he's moved up his infantry units to start firing at the French columns coming forward. The French put 2 ADCs to the Haraspin's 2nd Brigade that was faltering. It rolled a 6, so it's rallied, so it's still hesitant though. It's rallied back to hesitant, and that in turn really held up the whole brigade, because the 1st brigade in that division also decided to go hesitant. Moving further down the line, again the British have come forward a bit. They're getting quite aggressive. They're ready to shoot the living bejeebers out of that French skirmish line. The French columns have come up the hill. That was looking like easy pickings. They were going to assault this lone Spanish battalion, but as you can see, Whittingham's on hand, and he's moved a couple of battalions up. So in fact, the French are just going to cop a mess of musketry to the face there. I don't know how they're going to come out of that one. And also, he's not only moved those up, he's moved his whole brigade forward aggressively to try and scare off those French skirmishers, because he can't just stand there and get dished out from them. So he's also called in his skirmish line, because they were down to 1 wound off raking and faltering the brigade. Let's move into some shooting. There's been no charges this turn, and we'll see how we get on. Habit's skirmish lines come forward, so they're going to get 5 shots at the British. And they're going to do 1, which is going to take a standoff. However, the British did tempt them forward into range of the citadel as well, so they're going to take 2 lots of skirmish fire in return. So 4 from the British skirmish line. That'll do squat, and 5 from the garrison. That will do 1. Down the line here, the British have got 4 dice, 1 for brigade and 2 for brigade skirmishers, and they're going to dish out 2 hits, 1 to each line. The French here have got 4 bases, so they're going to get 5 dice. They do 1, but it has to go on the skirmish line. That's skirmishers first. That's right on the edge of the British line there. Right, first French skirmish line here is going to do 1, and the second skirmish line is also going to do 1. So 2 wounds on the Spanish. Over to artillery, British battery on the French line there. 7, that'll just be 1. Taking them to 5, so they're starting to feel the pain. The Spanish battery is going to go 1 more time at counter battery. See if they can push that French guns over the limit. And they've rolled double 6s. Well done. That's 3 in a DT. So these guns are now sitting on 8, which is not good. Discipline test. 7. They will go unformed. And the British battery on the hill is also going to do counter battery fire. And they're going to get 1 hit, which will make these guys worn. So the British guns have largely messed up the French guns. The French large battery is going to reply. It's worn though, so it's going to do an inferior shot, but it's going to get 1 CD because it's a large battery. So they're also going to try and return the favour to the British guns on the hill. 9 will do 1. Close but no cigar. They're up to 5 casualties at British battery. These French guns here are unformed and worn, so they're only going to get 1 CD, but they'll have a go at that British line coming up. And they'll roll a 4, and they'll do it. Well done. Right, musketry. Down here, the British line is going to open up on the French. They're disciplined, so they'll get 1 casualty dice as well. They're going to roll 7 is 2. Over here, the French column's in trouble. Take 1 from the line on the hill. And they're only going to roll a 5. There's still 1, and they get 1 for the CD. So 2 to the French column there. The other battalion will give them a round as well, these guys here. And they're going to lose fire discipline. But they're still going to put 1 casualty on them. So those guys are going to eat cotton, and they'll still give the column 1 casualty though. Over here, the Portuguese are standing in for the Sicilian battalion are going to shoot. They're going to eat cotton as well. The British battalion's going to give them a shot. And they're also going to eat cotton. Spanish are going to shoot at the left-hand column. 6 is 1. And then these lads here are going to shoot at the right-hand column. 8 will be 3 and a DT. 2 on these guys and 3 on these guys. Discipline check. 7. They're fine. Lastly, we have 2 Spanish lines shooting into skirmishes, so they're going to give inferior volleys. 1 on the right is going to do a 6, which is 1, and the 1 on the left is going to eat cotton. So I think that one's eating cotton, and this one's taking a base off. That's the end of the turn. Right, we're just going to do recap turn 6. Not much is happening down here by Castalla. Habit is not really pushing, trying to attack the town. He hasn't got the troops to do it. He has moved all his troops around here, and he did get on infantry assault and try and take on the 81st, the British line there. The British line and the guns shot the French, but didn't stop them coming in. They went in, but they just rolled badly, and you can see both brigades have fallen back. Both battalions have fallen back, so that was not so good. The French guns opened up, and I think they've now managed to put the British guns on the hill on 7, so they're now worn. French lines came forward. They shot another stand away of the skirmishers. French guns opened up on the British line there, did another casualty. I don't think the Spanish guns, I think the Spanish guns put another 2 on the French guns. Harrisbury's 2nd Brigade hesitant again. The British took the opportunity to charge down off the hill and line. They went in, but again, they rolled badly as well, so they stopped short. So it's disappointments all round, really. Moving into the centre, there was a bit of exchange. The French lost another skirmish stand. This is the 1st Brigade of Roberts' division. He stuck these 2 units on infantry assault, and they went into that lone Spanish battalion on the hill. The Spanish are hesitant, so he thought he had a good shot there, and the Spanish had a terrible round of shooting, and the French went in. It looked all good, and then The Spanish rolled 11 on the combat dice, and the French just turned around and run back down the hill. Terrible. Over here, his 2nd Brigade is hesitant. There was a bit of a firefight between the skirmishers and the infantry, but nothing really happened there. The French can't get forward. The skirmish line isn't doing that much damage to the lines. There's just too many of them, so I don't know what the French are going to do there. I thought the French had a good chance on the hill, but it went south on them pretty quickly. I wouldn't like to pick it, but I'd say chances of French victory are slipping away on them, which really gets to me because I just want to win with the French and I just can't seem to pull it off. Let's rock into turn 7 and see if they can turn it around. Top of turn 7, the British Adams Brigade actually was faltering. Their skirmish line got driven in on turn 6. They used Stand With Me, so he's rallied and taken a couple of casualties off his battalion. Mackenzie was issued assault fire, but unfortunately he went hesitant, so he's lost that. The French all passed their test, bar Habit down the far end there by the town. He's gone hesitant, but the French still run the initiative, and they've launched a charge right in here, and the British are going to give them a volley and see if they can drive them off. They're on infantry assault, so they've got support. So the British have rolled a 9, which is going to require some sort of discipline test, I believe. 9 is 3 and a DT. Ouchie, ouchie, ouchie. So 3, 5. Takes these guys to 8. So chances are they're not going in. Take a discipline test. 6. They're worn, so they go down 1 grade. So that's going to make them unformed. So they'll be rolling 4 dice to the British 2. They're only going to need something big to pull this off. Oh, look at that. They would have pulled it off. They're going to try and re-roll the 1. So the British have got support, so they're going to re-roll the 2. So it's still a win by 2, and a win by 2 is unit withdraw, 1D casualties, support halt, 1 CD casualties. So the lead unit doesn't take anything, and the back unit takes 1 casualty. So another failed charge for the French. These guys will go back and stop behind these guys. Become unformed. That's the only charge. Let's go through the movement. Over to artillery fire. The French guns are worn, but this large battery, they're going to shoot at the guns on the hill. And they're going to roll an 8. If inferior 8 is just going to be 1, so they're going to put 2 casualties on those boys. And they are now on 9 casualties, so they're feeling pretty sad. We'll do the British return fire while we're set up with the camera. They'll fire a canister at that French line that's coming up. Over there, but they're a bit worn, so they're still going to do the damage. So that's 1 in a DT, so 2 in a DT, so they're up to 4 casualties, this French unit now. So the French are up to 4 casualties. Discipline test 9, they love it. Scanning over here, we have the French battery. It's worn. It's going to go at that British unit there. Actually, I'll probably fire a canister at this lead unit. So 2 CDs. 7 is just going to be 2 casualties on them. Spanish battery will turn fire. They're at full strength still. They're going to crack into these guys. 10. It's 3 in the DT. So they're going up to 5. They love it. And last battery on the hill over here, British one, is going to crack into those French units. And that's not good. That'll be a fatigue casualty on themselves. So they're up to 4 casualties now. That's artillery into volley fire. So first up, this British battalion's going to shoot at the column coming in, and oh, that's not so good. 6 will just be 1, so it takes them up to 3. French infantry there will fire at the British infantry on the hill, and they'll get a 9, and they are still fresh, so that is 3 in a DT. British discipline test is 5, which I say would be unformed. Forgot to move those lines forward, which is a bit of a bugger. British will return fire. That's not good. I'll put on 1 casualty, but they'll lose their fire discipline. So these 2 guys are definitely in range. I think it's French to fire first. 5. I think that's just going to be 1. And the British will turn fire. And they will do 2. So the French are sitting on 7, and the British go up to 4. Sorry. Over here we've got the British going to crack in a volley to that column, but the French line's going to open up first. And they're going to roll 6, just do the 1 casualty. British line will crack off, and they'll do 1, and they'll lose their fire discipline. Over here, French line will crack in to the Sicilian/Portuguese unit that's coming up. 10. 10 will be 3 in a DT. Oh, that's not good. So they're going to lose 3 casualties. These guys are eating cotton. A 3 on the discipline test. They're reservists. That's not good. Retreat. So they're going to go back. Next on the hill we have another French battalion, and they're going to do 9, which is, and they are still fresh, so that's 3 and a DT for the Spanish. Six, they're going to be unformed. They're going to return fire. 10, but they are unformed. And there's still going to be 2 in a discipline check for the French. So they're up to 5 now. That will unform them. Let's do a quick recap. Flyby at the end, bottom of turn 7. You can see Robert's 2nd Brigade here is doing my favourite trick and breaking out into line. They're going to come forward and go volley for volley with the Spanish on the hill. Sadly, I think that's the best chance for the French. Nothing else is going very well for them. In the centre, they had a bit better of a turn. They chased off one of the reservist battalions of Adams' Brigade. Both the Spanish and the French there shot each other into a mess, so they're both unformed. The 1st Brigade battalions have reformed at the bottom of the hill and are ready to come back up, but everyone's smarting quite a few casualties now. Down in the centre, Hasbury's 2nd Brigade is in a world of hurt. It's right in front of some guns and some controlled British volleys. And saying that, the British are eating cotton. They rolled atrociously this turn. The French guns did a little bit of damage, but they're just so beat up now. They're pretty close to breaking themselves. The French lines are pushed forward, but again, they're taking canister and volley fire, so they're on the pain train. So they're not getting off that. It's not stopping anytime soon. The French large battery has been laying down counter battery fire, and it's just about taking that British battery out, I think. Herbert's brigade or division has come forward. It's taking fire from the town now, and it was hesitant last time, so it couldn't really change formation, and it just took a volley to the face, but that actually didn't really hurt it too much. But again, it just hasn't got the troops to come forward. On the British side, Clinton's moving his troops around, ready to launch an attack from the far side of the village. We'll box on to turn 8. Recapping turn 8, you can see Clinton's brought his battalions out of the town and is moving forward to engage the French there on the far side of the town. This turn was basically a big bloody firefight. The French rolled, in volley fire, they rolled 3 sets of 3. So they lost fire discipline 4 times. The British really dished out some casualties with their drilled troops. So the French are getting pretty ragged now, but some British units also lost fire discipline. The big significant thing is the French committed their last caisson to their big battery and got in one last artillery assault, and that destroyed the British guns on the hill, which is now faltering Mackenzie's brigade, and that's not good. In the centre, everyone shot at everyone, so a few people lost their fire discipline. These Sicilian guys were chased off by the French. They broke and ran. Over here, it's this tale of woe for the French. They lost fire discipline. The Spanish dished it out here in the centre. The French have managed to bring up their other 2 battalions, but their front battalions are in very much a mess now. And over here you can see it's a cotton wool fight. Both battalions at the end of the line lost their fire discipline. It's getting to the dodgy start of the place in the game where something could disappear. Let's rock into turn 9 and see where we get to. French won the initiative. They've launched 1 charge in here. They're on infantry assault. I don't fancy their chances, but they're just gambling. So I'm forever a gambler. Oh, that's good. I think that's just 1 casualty coming in. Can the French get a breakthrough here? Holy jeepers. Double 6s all round. And that's a draw. Nobody wants to re-roll there. Close to combat. Good God, the French actually got in. Can't believe it. Unbelievable. In you go, lads. Right, that's all the charges done. I'll box on to movement. Okay, recapping turn 9 movement. Largely static here. The French are hesitant, so they just removed any fire discipline. Robert's 2nd Brigade has moved his infantry columns back up onto the hill. They're getting ready to assault. Again, the British were largely static. They just reformed some of their battalions and moved them back up. In the centre here, again, just removing fire discipline and rallying troops. The French have stepped one of their more damaged lines back and wingled a battalion and column to come through and threaten that British infantry there. And over here, as we've seen, the charge has gone in, and we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get into firing. There's French light battalion deployed out into lines, going to have a crack. And they're going to do one more. Slowly but surely, they're picking away at this line. The only other thing we've got is the garrison cracking off into that French line there. They've got 5 shots. Yep, and they're going to do one, and that makes that battalion worn. Over to artillery. The French big battery is going to crack off at the guys on the hill. The casualty dice hits, but a 6 is not enough, so just 1 casualty on these guys, taking them to 5. The other French guns will shoot at the British infantry. They'll do a 6. They will get 2 canister dice though, which will do 1. The Spanish guns on the hill will shoot at the advancing column and give them some canister and an extra CD for a column. 9 would be 2 in a discipline test. 5, they don't like that at all, so that's going to unform them. Okay, so they won't be charging next turn. The last guns are those British guns on the hill, and they're going to crack around a canister into these guys. They'll do themselves some own mischief, but they'll put 1 casualty, taking these guys up to 8 now. But the guns are now sitting on 5. There's not too many people on the pitch that are happy at the moment. Volley fire. Move down here. French line. They're going to get 7. And they're still fresh. So there is going to be 2 on the Spanish. The other French line is still fresh as well, and they're going to roll a 10, which is going to be 4 in a discipline check, which takes the Spanish up to 5. And they've rolled a 4, so they are classed as line, and a 4 is fine. They're just unformed. Spanish are going to shoot back while we're here. So this line here is going to roll 8. And 8 is 2 on the French. And then this unit here, which is now informed, so it's a weak volley, is going to roll 11. And 11 is going to be 3 in a DT. So they're given slap for slap. But the French love it. Crossing into the end of the Spanish line, this French battalion here is going to crack into these guys, and 7 is going to be 2. These Spanish here will fire inferior volley at the skirmishers. 6, that'll still do 1, which will take them to 3. I might have taken a base off for those, that's why it doesn't make sense. So they should actually be on 6, and they should actually have an extra base. So all you people screaming at the internet that I got that wrong, I've figured it out. I've worked it out. This Spanish line will shoot back. It's now worn. 8, they're doing well. It's just going to be 1 though. But it does take those lads up to 10, so they're teetering. They're just about ready to call it a day. Here we have the French line versus the British line. Oh, and the French are going to do double 6s, and they're still fresh. So that's going to be 4 on the fresh British line, and a discipline check. Oh, and the British don't like it. That's going to unform them. Right, chance for the British to pay it back. No. That battalion's fallen to pieces. Into the centre. There's French battalion that's worn. It's going to give the British a volley. And, oh, I forgot to do a destiny roll. 6. So these boys here are going to remove a casualty. Okay, so back to here, they rolled 5. It's just going to be 1. Taking them to 4. The column's going to shoot 1 shot. That'll give them 1 more. Not quite enough though. The British will fire back. And they're going to do 2 hits, which is going to take these lads up to 9. Oh, there's some very unhappy campers in the audience. The British here are going to fire at that column, and they're just going to do 1. And here, the French are going to get to fire first. They're going to do 1, which is enough to take these guys to Warn. And they're going to return the favour. And they're going to do 2, which is going to take these guys to 9. So, that's it for shooting. We've just got 1 melee. First melee of the game. Right. We'll start with 5 dice each. I think that's going to be it really, 5 dice each. Come on, Frenchies. Come on, boys. No. 2 each. Draw. Winner stands, unformed. Loser withdraws. Bottom of turn recap. As usual, nothing's really happened here. The French pulled up in line and exchanged volleys. Despite having 2 battalions facing 1, they're definitely on the losing side of that. Here the French lost fire discipline. The battery on the hill, the Spanish battery, it had assault fire and it rolled a 3, so it did 2 more casualties on itself. So it's killing itself faster than anyone else can. In the middle, the British are looking pretty thin, but in saying that, French casualties, you know, they've got battalions sitting on 10, so, and oh, look at this, there's a great big hole there, and they've got nothing to fill it. Over here, a French charge went in, and it actually won, and chased the British off. There was no melee, they bolted. The Spanish had an absolute miserable firing, 4 out of 5 battalions losing their fire discipline. The French are starting to get the upper end here. Is it too little too late though? I mean, a couple of turns ago I would have picked the British in for an easy win. Now, I still think the British are going to win, but I think the French have a chance on this right-hand flank. Let's crack into turn 11. End of movement, turn 11. Not much happened on the French right flank. Robert's 2nd Brigade's gone hesitant, so they've just basically sat stationary. The Spanish just removed all their fire discipline. Moving on to the centre of the hill, a single French battalion pushed forward with a second charge, and they routed the Sicilian troops, and they've retreated back. And then this brigade's turned around to face off against the next Allied battalion that's coming up. So the French are making some headway there, which is good for them. They've still got a roaring great hole in the middle of their thing, but the British have got nothing to exploit it with. Moving over to the centre left, everyone's reduced their lines. You can see there was a French column here that's withdrawn to the second line because it's 2 off dying, and this one here that's 4 off dying is taking its place, so they're desperately trying to plug the gap there. This brigade, the 1st Brigade of Harrisps, is in trouble. It's gone hesitant, so it can't really move, and Habert is really stationary and engaged, locked in a firefight with the 81st over there. The British have taken a punt and put their guns on assault fire one more time. They're going to try and take something out. Other than that, shock horrors, there's some action down by the town. The Allied, I think it's the French levy and the Dello Brigade have come out, or battalions have come out, and the French have said, yeah, we accept the challenge, and they've come forward. So we'll crack on to some firing and see how we go. The French battalion here, skirmishing. I think they're down to 4 dice now. I'm not really sure, but that's enough to wang up one more casualty. So it wears. They've worn these guys down with continuous fire. They've still actually got 3 skirmishers floating around in amongst the mix there. And they're going to crack off another round into the Spanish, which will take these guys up to 7. So the Spanish are definitely tiring. So the garrison is going to fire out. And they're going to put a casualty on these guys and take them to 10. That's probably all she wrote for those guys. It pays to push record when you're doing some shooting. I'm not sure where I've missed from, but we've gone through the artillery shooting. No one died, but a lot of people got seriously hurt. This column here took 4 casualties, and the British unit on the hill took 3, so there was some damage put out there. But like I say, no one's fallen over yet. We're into musketry. Over to this continuing firefight. Actually, we've got one round here, and they're going to roll a 10, which isn't going to be pleasant, but they did move. So that's 3 in a DT. Or they become unformed. Over here, British to go first. They've got a full fat volley. 8, that's going to hurt. 8 is 2 in a DT. Well, it's going to wipe these guys out. And that's going to falter the brigade. French are going to give a warm volley back. 11, they're pretty angry. That's 3 in a DT, so that's going to take these guys up to 8. Moving into the centre, this British column will crack out a round and do nothing. These guys here, they're unformed and worn, so they're only going to get 1 CD. But they'll try and crack into that column, and they do. Chucks them on 9, so they're almost spent. The French are going to give these boys a volley back. double six. It's a worn volley because they're sitting on 11 casualties, but even so, it's going to crack them up to worn, and then they'll have to test. Oh, that's not good, because they're reservists and they're worn, so they're going to go down a morale grade 6 or less retreat. So they're going to retreat, and the unit behind them shouldn't be retreating, actually, it should be unformed. Oh no, it moves back this turn, so it's got nothing to form on, so it'll rout off the board and Mackenzie's brigade will falter again. These boys here will crack in a single shot, and they will crack in a single shot, so these guys are on 11 now. The British here will shoot first. They're worn. I actually forgot to do what's his name check there, isn't it? I actually forgot to do Destiny for the double sixes. Destiny 7. So they can recover 1 casualty, which they bloody well love because they're in trouble. So it's Destiny. Right, getting confused. But back on track now. So these guys have shot here. The British managed to do 1 casualty, I think, and the French are going to return fire. And they're going to roll double sixes again. They're on fire. So it's a worn volley, but it's still 3, which will take the British to 9. They'll do a discipline check. 7, I think that's enough to unform them. And the French will do a destiny check again. And they're going to roll 7. Recover 1 casualty, which they love. On to the central plateau. British have 1 shot here. Nothing, and then they have a weak volley here. 9, that's pretty good. Inferior volley is 2 on these guys and a DT because they're drilled. So they takes them to 5. And they'll take a discipline check. And they've rolled double 1s. Oh dear. So that'll be run away. The mighty French battalion that did so well has had enough. They're off ski. They've moved back to here and they're now sitting on 7 casualties. Alright, we're down to the end. Spanish, this battalion, 7. That's going to be their mint, those guys. 7's going to be a 2. That's going to take those guys off. And that's going to falter the brigade. Next Spanish line here, it's a worn volley. 8 worn skirmishers, actually, so they only get 1 CD. There's still a casualty. Going to put that skirmish line on 7 now. These guys here, another worn volley. 7, it's just be the 1, which actually clicks these into worn as well. So everybody's powder's getting spent. And the last guys, they're going to do 9, which is going to be 2. Takes these guys up to 5. Alright, French reply. 7. They're still mint, so it's going to be 2 on these guys. So they're now up to 9. One volley here is going to be eating cotton time. And that's it. That is bottom of turn 11. Right, we'll take a flyby at bottom of turn 11. You can see here, still big firefight going on. The Spanish are getting the worst of it now. But in saying that, they've cleared out a battalion there, and this brigade's now faltering, which is bad news for the French. The opposing British brigade is in a bit of trouble, division there, but that's not faltering. Down here, everybody's in trouble. I think Mackenzie's now faltering because he's lost a battalion that routed off the table from the hill, and the French are also faltering over there. So there's 3 brigades all faltering, so we'll see how we go in last turn 12. Recapping the final turn, you can see over the castle wall there, the Anglo battalions have moved up to challenge the French. Here I tried to move that French battalion in column forward, but I realised I'm hesitant, so I can't. Not much the French can do here. They're all hesitant, as is Mackenzie, so really no movement here. Moving down the line, the brigade rolls were a disaster for the French. Robert's 2nd Brigade here, that was faltering, rolled a 2 and a 1, so they're still faltering, and all their battalions went unformed and took 2 CD's casualties, which added at least 1 onto each of them, and they've been charged, and they couldn't really repel the charge, so they're going to get squashed there. Moving across to the Spanish, again the French hesitant, so they're not doing anything. All the Spanish did was pull back their Warm Brigade and fed a fresh line into the meat grinder. So let's crack off some shooting and 1 round of combat, and then that'll be it. British have the initiative, so they're going to get to shoot from the castle walls first. 5 dice, and that'll be nothing again, just too high up or something. We'll do the French skirmishers just here. They're going to get 4 dice at the line. They're also going to do nothing. Down here, I think the French line here is worn, so they're only going to get like 4 shots. But they'll put a casualty on the Spanish, and then the last skirmishing is this skirmish line over here in the corner. They're going to get 4 shots as well. And they're also going to put 1 on the Spanish. Moving across to artillery fire. We have the British guns on the hill up here. They're going to shoot at, I think this is their only target. I think this target's blocked by the British infantry. They're not worn, but it'll be a long range volley. 8, that'll do 1, and that's all they need to take these boys off. So these French lads have had enough, and they're scarpering. That falters the second brigade of the Harrison's division. Right, Spanish guns on the hill. They're going to do their best to wipe out that column, and their best is pretty damn good. 11 will give them 3 plus 2 DT will give them 5, and that's more than enough to take these guys off. So that's going to falter Aspen's 1st Brigade. So the French melting like ice cream in the hot sun. That's the French artillery. That's the British artillery, sorry. Let's see what the French can do in reply. They're going to canister these guys. Again, it's going to be weak though. But that's more than enough to make these guys vaporise, which is going to falter Mackenzie's brigade. This battery, probably its only target is the guns up there. So they're going to give them a weak salvo, and that's just probably going to put 1 more casualty on those guns, which takes them to 5. So that's artillery. Over to musketry. The Anglo boys have some shots here. Again, it's 7, standard volley. It's just one on the French, and the column's going to have a crack at might as well. It's going to do a second one. French will give a reply while they're here, straight into the column. And the heart has gone out of the French fight. There's a fire discipline for them. That's no good. The British are going to put in a inferior volley into that French line there. They're going to give them a smacking though. They're going to put 2 casualties on them. Pushes the French up to 8 casualties there. Well, I've got the camera there, the French will reply. And they'll give them 9 back, which is 2 in a DT. Which takes them to 10, so 8. I think they're okay. They dropped down a grade to 7, but I think 7's still okay. So everybody's teetering over to here. British have got 1 weak volley. Inferior volley, I should say. But that's enough to... What are they on? 8. And they've rolled a 9. It's 2, so 3, 8 and 3. There's 11. Hold on there, boys. Stand firm. So they're just there. Return volley. Oh, double 6s. Shut the gates. They're supposed to take a discipline test first, but they've rolled double 6s for the discipline test. I guess I've got to take that. So now it's their volley return. That's a shame. They still rolled an 8 though. An 8 will give these guys 2, which also puts them on 11. So it's 11-11. First man to blink dies. Hold on to your trousers. Over to Whittingham's Spanish division. These boys have come forward. They're going to give French a volley, and they're going to roll double 6s. There's a few double 6s going about the place. So that's because they've moved. That's going to be 3 and a DT. So it's going to take these guys to 9. And they rolled 4. And they rolled double 2s for the discipline test. So what's the chances of them staying on the board? I'd say pretty slim. Retreat, take 4D. We'll roll the casualties because that could just see them off the board. Take 1 more casualty, so they go to 10. And they retreat down behind these guys. So the French attack's completely fallen to pieces. Let's carry on down the Spanish line. These guys have got just 1 weak shot at the skirmishers. No. Over here we've got a fresh battalion step forward. They forgot to load their muskets. So they did nothing at all. And then the last battalion on the end there, they're going to roll a 6. And I think that's just 1 with a weak volley. But that pushes those guys into worn territory. Right, let's see what the French can do in response. Start with these guys. They're going to roll 9, and it's a weak volley. 9, weak is 2. Unfortunately, that destroys these French boys, these Spanish guys. Battalions are flying off the table now, and Whittingham's going to falter. Next French battalion, that's going to do just 1. Getting my steps in. So they're just going to put 1 on these guys, and that's it. So just this combat to go. I'm going to start with 5 dice each. The Sicilians will get 1 dice because they've got a LAN. The French will lose one because they're unformed. The French have more than 6 casualties, so they'll lose another one. I think that's all there is. 3 plays 6. So the French are going to get 2, and the British are going to get 3. So they're going to go to 5. And the French are going to go to 9. That's a win by 1. Take the ground, lose a retreat. Well, everything else is retreating, so I think it has to go. And that is the game. Well, there you have it. That was a big, bloody infantry slogfest. At the end of turn 12, we'll go start at Castalla and move our way down. Herbert's brigade is surprisingly still in okay shape. They've lost 1 battalion, but apart from that, they're holding in there. He rallied from faltering last time. They're under a bit of pressure from the British, but that brigade that's facing them is just 2 off dying, the 81st. The French guns are on 6, but they've smashed everything that was on the hill. Moving into the centre, Harrisby's division is gone. Both brigades are faltering. This brigade has only got the battery and 1 and the guns. I'm not even sure I attached the guns to him. If the guns weren't attached, he'd be gone. But they're both faltering, and there's just nothing here to patch them up. The last battalion he's got sitting on 11, the 2nd Brigade, so, I mean, they're just dead. And they're facing some guns on the hill, so they'll go next time. Over here, Robert, his 1st Brigade is faltering, so that's 3 faltering brigades, so even if they get a good lot of ADCs, they'll be lucky to keep these brigades on the table. Both of his battalions are retreating, and that's all he's got left out of the skirmish line and 2 others, so he's pretty much cooked. Over here, his 2nd Brigade was okay. They saw off 1 Spanish battalion, but the Spanish have fed a fresh one into the line, and they've still got 5 battalions left, so not really making any headway. But the potential's there to turn the flank now, but it's over. It's too late. Let's have a look at the British side of the pitch. Okay, you see Spanish, they're in a bit of trouble. I mean, this brigade retreated to the reverse line, so it's technically classed as retreating when he rolls for the faltering roll. So if he doesn't do well, those guys could be in trouble. But some of the battalions aren't really hurt there. Moving down the line to Adams' brigade. They've faltered a couple of times and reformed and come back. The British one is in a bit of trouble, but the other 2 are pretty fresh. The British guns are still good. They're on 5 casualties. In the centre, Mackenzie, he's faltering. He's in a bit of pain. He's lost nearly half his brigade now, and some of his units are pretty sick. But then again, he's got no French facing him. And moving into the town, Clinton sat on his ass the whole game. Didn't do much at all. Just checked out the view and come forward at the late hour to put some pressure on here. But this firefight really never developed into anything at all. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a mammoth game. As I say, it was an infantry slogfest. Anyway, I'll close it off there. Thanks very much for watching, and cheerio.